It's 6 p.m. This is SNN, the Suncoast News Network, your local news leader.
Hello everybody, I'm Don Brennan. Thanks for joining us here on the SNN Evening Edition.
And I'm Eric Wilson. We'll get right to our top stories on this Thursday evening.
Two couples were going on a double date for dinner, actually meeting friends at Sharky's, but they died after a single-engine plane crashed into the Gulf of Mexico last night, just west of Venice Airport and the Venice Pier.
And SNN's Alex Vaughn has that story.
William Lumpkin was the pilot of the Piper Saratoga. He named the aircraft after his wife, calling it the Patty Ann. They died when Piper went into the Gulf Wednesday night. Passengers Elizabeth and Ricky Beaver also perished in the accident. The couples were from suburban Indianapolis. Venice Police Patrol Division Commander Captain Andy Lysenring said the single-engine plane departed St. Petersburg Wednesday, arriving at the Venice Municipal Airport around 5 p.m. The couples had dinner with friends at an area restaurant. Shortly after taking off from Venice to return to St. Petersburg, the plane crashed. This was the second fatal crash into the Gulf in 4 months.
I've been working here for 16 years, and the last crash was the first crash that went off into the Gulf like that. So to have two in that short period of time is certainly unusual. But, I mean, it's really too early to make any conclusions because we have to see what happened. You know, what was the cause of this crash? It could be two completely unrelated causes, and it just happened to be that close together. We just don't know yet.
The men's bodies were recovered Wednesday night. Dive teams returned to the scene at first light, locating the main portion of the aircraft, as well as two bodies of the deceased females. At a press conference Thursday, Venice Airport Director Mark Servasio said flying at night is a call made by the pilots.
Well, that's the thing. We don't have a control tower at the airport, so the runway that is used is up to the pilot. So it's up to them to make the decision as to which runway they're going to use. Usually that's based on the direction of the winds.
Since 2004, 11 people have died in plane wrecks from the Venice airport, which is raising questions over safety at Venice. Servasio says he can't comment about nighttime disorientation over the Gulf while flying, which is an issue raised by some pilots. But he stressed the airport was properly functioning during the time of the incident.
I'm going to comply with the FAA's and the FDOT's requirements for operating an airport and making sure that the airport is safe.
The NTSB is expected to issue a preliminary report in the coming weeks. Reporting in Venice, Alex Vaughn, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, as Don mentioned, unfortunately, these folks, they were just simply trying to go out on a double date, have some dinner, and it ended up in an unfortunate incident.
Now, a 19-year-old motorcyclist died after a crash in Sarasota last night as part of a rash of motorcycle deaths on the Suncoast recently. The Florida Highway Patrol said a 76-year-old SUV driver attempted to turn left on the Shade Avenue at the intersection of Bee Ridge Road when he collided with the 19-year-old motorcyclist. As the 19-year-old flew off his motorcycle and into the crosswalk pole, the SUV, after the collision, spun around and collided with another SUV. Troopers say the 19-year-old was taken to the hospital, but he died there later. The crash remains under investigation. Unfortunately, there are many investigations of late. This is the 10th fatal motorcycle accident on the Suncoast in the past 3 weeks alone, not including one that John Reynolds witnessed right there on Fruitville Road and Lime last Thursday night, a week ago tonight, in which somebody also turned left in front of a motorcyclist. He was seriously injured in that crash.
An inbound plane attempting to land at Sarasota Bradenton International Airport reported a landing gear incident. Now, the incident occurred today around noon. The pilot reported the issue, but the plane landed without there being any more of a tragic incident. The plane was a private single-engine propeller plane. This follows a fatal plane crash in Venice last night.
The true people's champion died yesterday as Sarasota County Commissioner Nancy Dietert passed away peacefully at the age of 78. She was a public servant who truly listened to and served the needs of her public. She has been the District 3 County Commissioner since 2016 after leaving the state Senate after 8 years. Just prior to that, as a senator and as a commissioner, she was a huge proponent of incentives to keep the film TV industry in the state. When the state rescinded those incentives, it was an immediate mass exodus to Georgia, who is now giving out those incentives. But Dietert still pushed for the film industry to come to the Suncoast in any way, shape, or form, and on a smaller level, she was successful. In addition to the Senate and the County Commission, Dietert served on the Sarasota County School Board in the late 80s, early 90s, and then in the Florida House of Representatives from 1998 till 2006.
Now, with school safety concerns rising, one Suncoast school is trying a different way to protect its students.
SNN's Christy Sultan tells us how.
With the recent school shooting in Nashville, the question on how to make sure students are safe going to school continues to be asked. Dr. Bill Jones, principal of Manatee School for the Arts, believes he has the answer. After the Parkland shooting, he decided to implement the Guardian program.
The ones we have on campus now, they're all ex-military, all combat veterans. They've all been in firefights. They've been shot at. They've shot. They've done guard details. These are top flight guys.
The Guardians in school are security guards armed with handguns and rifles.
What's the tool that you need? What's the scenario? What's the situation? Might you have to shoot 100 yards? Might you have to shoot in a group? Do you want the most accurate weapon that you can have to avoid any damage or collateral damage? And the answer to all those questions is yes, yes, and yes.
Which is why Dr. Jones believes armed guards should have rifles. In Palmetto, Christy Sultan, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
And Dr. Jones also recommending other schools do their research before they start a similar safety program.
All right, well, thanks. And our continuing coverage of New College of Florida, well, we just found out they are banning TikTok, WeChat, and other platforms following an emergency statewide regulation. A message sent to the New College community on Tuesday said the college would start that day to take measures to ban the use of the following apps on college-owned devices and networks. Back in March 28, the Florida Board of Governors approved an emergency regulation to accelerate implementation of Regulation 3.0075, which allows the Chancellor of the State University Systems of Florida to block access to websites and social media platforms deemed to threaten personal privacy and national security. TikTok, a video sharing app, has been under scrutiny both nationally and internationally lately, with an increasing number of governments banning the app from device issues to staff because of privacy and cyber security concerns.
The Manatee County Animal Shelter is overflowing and they need your help. The urgent need is for people to adopt and foster dogs. Currently, 97 are available for adoption. The Palmetto Adoption Center is reaching what officials call a critical population level. Since the new year, the shelter has accepted about 300 pets on average a month. To help encourage more adoptions, they're going to make it a little easier for you, throw a little incentive. The county is waiving all adoption fees for the rest of this month, yes, until April 30th, that's a Sunday. Dog fosterers are also needed to help socialize the pets. Palmetto Adoption Center and Shelter located on 25th Street West in Palmetto.
All right, well, phase 2 of the US 41 improvement does begin in May in Northport. Construction will begin just east of the State College of Florida campus entrance to River Road as part of the improvements. Now, that will reduce traffic speed, but it will enhance safety in the area. Work's going to begin in the southbound lanes first and will take place on weekdays, so Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., with occasional evenings or night hours as needed. The public, you're invited to attend an information open house from 6 to 8 on April 25th at the Welland Park Welcome Center to learn more about the planned US 41 improvements.
And a Suncoast Goliath is doing its part to put a stop to human trafficking. Gold Coast Eagle Distributing partnered with the National Beer Wholesalers Association for awareness training through their Distributors Against Human Trafficking initiative. The nationwide initiative educates employees on recognizing and reporting the warning signs of human trafficking. Back in 2019 alone, the Polaris Project identified more than 22,000 victims and survivors of human trafficking, half of whom are children. 192 of Gold Coast Eagle Distributing's employees participated in the initial awareness training session, and they were provided tools which will help them spot suspicious behaviors and also to alert authorities while they're on their routes. The campaign has successfully trained nearly 30,000, nearly 31,000 beer distributors from 250 different companies. And two semi-trucks collided on a highway in North Florida yesterday, leaving behind a starchy mess. Yes. Potato salad, or mashed potatoes. That was the scene on the northbound lanes of Interstate 95, just near St. Johns County yesterday. According to the Florida Highway Patrol, two semis collided, which caused one to flip and spill the load of hundreds of pounds of potatoes. Officials say the other semi jackknifed and then took out two other vehicles, striking the guardrails, trying to avoid that crash. No one had to be taken to the hospital, thankfully, but one person did complain of a knee pain. I don't know about that. For a knee pain, you could put a cold potato on it. The northbound lanes of Interstate 95 were closed following the crash, but soon reopened after that. Spuds McKenzie action.
Listen, bacon just came down, eggs just came down. Now the price of potatoes going up. I mean, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, now it's going to be a supply and demand.
Yes.
That supply is on the side of a road right now.
Great.
Still ahead on the evening edition. A climber in Utah heroically making a save for another climber from impending death.
However, this story does not have a happy ending. We will tell you what happens when we come back.